Right, so the movie that I saw in cinemas last week, it was just a bit too scary for me. And so to remove that film from my memory, I figured that today I would go and check out the latest family-friendly romp known as The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It. What will that pesky devil get up to this time, eh? No, in all seriousness, today I'm going to go and see The Conjuring 3. Despite being called The Conjuring 3, it's actually the 7th or 8th film in the Conjuring cinematic universe, which I have a major love-hate relationship with. I absolutely adore the 2 Conjuring movies directed by James Wan. That James Wan really knows how to get a little fright from the audience. Whereas the other films in the Conjuring cinematic universe are scary in a different sense, in that they are shit. They are completely messy, nonsensical pieces of gubbins that just take away any sense of mystery and intrigue that is in the original James Wan films. So in that respect, I should be fairly excited for The Conjuring 3. And I would be if James Wan was back to direct it. Instead, this film is directed by the guy that directed The Curse of La Llorona. His name is escaping me. He shares my first name, and he's got a funny sounding surname. I haven't seen La Llorona. It's the only film in the Conjuring franchise, if it even is a part of the Conjuring franchise, that I haven't seen. But I haven't heard good things about that film, so I am a little bit hesitant going into this. However, the plot synopsis and the trailer have piqued my interest, primarily because this film seems to be going for more of a crime thriller sort of feel, which I think is something that the Conjuring franchise really needs at this moment, because right now it is starting to get a little bit stale. Right, let's just stop talking and let's just fucking go in, right? If I continue to talk any longer, I'm going to miss parts of the movie, so let's go in! Oh! Didn't expect that, did you? Come on, it's a review of The Conjuring, man. I had to get you somehow. There we are. That's a bit better. So just know, before I start talking, I am parked next to a dual carriageway, so there is the possibility of some cars passing. However, the time is currently 11:15, so the traffic might have died down by now. So The Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It, somehow manages to be both the weakest film in the Conjuring franchise, while also being the 3rd best film in the Conjuring franchise. When compared to the other 2 Conjuring movies, the other 2 movies that share the same title, this film is nowhere near as good. But when compared to all the other drivel that this franchise has managed to shit out over these past few years, it's good. It's good. It's solid. It's decent. It's fine. I feel like I could just take this cap off. It doesn't matter. I mean, you can't really see my hair. I've got dark hair anyway, and if I wear the cap, you're not gonna see my eyes, and the eyes are the windows to the soul. Set in 1981, this film follows Ed and Lorraine Warren once again, who are up to their usual ghost-busting business. That is until a seemingly possessed man is charged for murder. And so in order to clear the guy's name, our 2 paranormal investigators start to investigate and start looking for proof as to this possession. I'm not good at describing the plot synopsises, am I? And yes, this film does seem like it could be one of the best films in the Conjuring franchise on paper. But in execution, you can kind of feel the absence of James Wan's direction. But before I get into talking about my problems with the movie, let's get into the good things, because this film does have quite a lot of good things. Namely our two main leads, who kick it out of the park once again. I don't know how Vera Farmiga and Patrick Wilson are able to do it. I think it's witchcraft personally, but their chemistry, that's the word I was looking for, their chemistry in these movies is absolutely gobsmacking. You feel as though they have been a couple for many, many years. As for the rest of the cast, however, they're fine, they're serviceable, there's not a bad performance in here per se. But whereas in the last two movies you really got to feel for the victims in this scenario, in this film I didn't really feel that. And I think that's maybe due to the lack of downtime that this film has. Part of why I absolutely adore the first two Conjuring movies is that in between the scary scenes, the connective tissue, fuck's sake, he was going quite fast. The films do an excellent job of making you feel sympathetic towards the victims. Whereas this film didn't really have that. A vast majority of the scenes were about the plot. There were maybe a couple of nice, quirky, banterous moments between our main couple, but in regards to the murderer, we'll call him, because I can't remember the character's name, I never really felt sorry for the guy. It was a vast majority of his scenes just consisted of him walking around and being startled by Bagul. There were a couple of well executed scare sequences in there, one including the waterbed, which instantly made me anxious the moment I found out that it was a waterbed. The opening of this movie in particular is exciting, it's thrilling, and there's one shot in here, the most memorable shot in this movie comes in the first 5-10 minutes. And that is a scene involving a shower curtain. I don't wish to spoil it for you, but there's a particular shot in that shower cubicle scene that made me think, what the fuck just happened there? There's also this great sort of 10-15 minute portion in the middle of the film where Ed and Lorraine Warren help this police officer find a missing girl. And that scene was rather refreshing, I thought. Usually in horror films you have the policeman who doesn't believe anything that the main characters say until it's too late. And I kind of wish the film sort of went in a more crime thriller direction. After that portion, it just sort of becomes the usual Conjuring gubbins. But I rather enjoyed seeing Ed and Lorraine Warren just sort of going about like the mystery gang, just looking about searching for clues and what have you. I also really like the climax, unlike the other two Conjuring movies where it just sort of devolves into a screaming match with the demon. The climax of this movie feels a bit more, well, slightly more grounded than the rest of the franchise. I refuse to believe that half of this stuff actually happened in real life, but the film says that it's apparently based on true events, so yeah, I believe you. However, my biggest problem with the movie is that it just wasn't all that scary. Well, I take that back. I will say that whilst watching the movie I was fearing for my fucking life. Good thing I had the cap on. I was able to just sort of sit like that throughout the scary portions of the movie, sort of miss the top half of the screen. But there weren't really that many memorable scares in the film, whereas there are moments in the other two movies that are going to stay in my brain for many years to come. And there are two reasons as to why I don't think this film is as scary as the other two. Again, it comes down to the lack of James Wan's direction. I don't know what it is about that man, but he has this innate ability to just freak me the fuck out. And also the lighting. I don't know if it was just my screening in particular. I don't know if there was something wrong with the projector, but this film was very, very, very dark at some points. There were points in this movie where all you could see was not even this. You could only see this. So I'm kind of balancing on a tightrope as to my thoughts and feelings on the film overall. But in general, I will say that I think I lean more towards the positive side. Again, this film has some rather interesting and refreshing ideas. It's got some great sequences. Ed and Lorraine Warren are fantastic as always. However, I'm not going to lose sleep over this. I think I'm going to sleep quite soundly. Kind of like a baby. I think I'm going to sleep like a baby tonight. Which, might I just add, is not how I reacted after seeing the first two Conjuring movies. Overall, I'm going to give it a 6 out of 10. This is definitely one that I can either see going up to a 7 or going down to a 5 in future. There's a good chance that I'm going to see it again in the coming weeks, so if I do go and see it again and my thoughts do drastically change, be sure to follow Movies and Milk over on TikTok, and I will give a little review of The Conjuring 3. Anyway, I better get moving because I've got a feeling there's some passers-by that are going to start looking at me funny and call the police or something. Fuck's sake!